Can you tell me about when you saved the country from atomic fallout?
What's that? I don't. My hearing aids have broken down.
Tell about how you saved the country from atomic fallout. The Russians and the soldiers getting poisoned.
Unfortunately, I don't have a memory of saying that.
You told me that story
You
all
gotta
the
be careful of Wilhelm.
about when
Wilhelm makes up all sorts of stories.
you told me all the soldiers were violently ill. And General, what's his name?
That's true. That is an absolute true story.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. Tell that.
All right, I will. That was the time of the Berlin airlift. Two motorcycle guys killed themselves.
Anyway, start talking about the war, because Dan has appointments today.
Are you recording this? That's not fair. Don't let me. He's supposed to take care of me, get up and get my breakfast. Sleeping.
The war. Back to the war.
At the end of my tour of duty in Germany, 1949, the Berlin airlift was going on. The reason we had the Berlin airlift, the Russians had closed the road. Instead of confronting them militarily, the government decided on the Berlin airlift. Why? Because we had a huge number of planes that weren't being used, and a lot of the Berlin airlift went from Frankfurt, Maine to Tempelhof Airport. And I used to fly up there with the pilots who would say, "Keep your head low, Doc, because if this plane stops suddenly, those sheets of metal in the back will cut your head right off." And we come into Tempelhof, and we'd fly down between rows of apartment buildings on either side. We'd be like on the 6th floor apartment building on either side, a narrow thing, and land on the runway. Immediately landed, the Germans were there taking the luggage off, and in 10-15 minutes the plane would turn around and go back to Frankfurt, Maine. Well, I was on duty, and Sergeant Ryan, who worked for me and had a helper like this one. His license plate is unusual, flaky kid. No, unusual, flaky queer, UFQ on your license plate. Unusual.
UFZ.
What?
UFZ.
US.
UFZ. Stay on topic, man.
All right. So, Sergeant Ryan woke me up. Doc, you got to do a couple of blood alcohols. And I went to the emergency room. This was a Monday morning. No, excuse me. It was Sunday. It was Sunday night. And there were two soldiers there, apparently drunk as skunks. And that was a serious offense in the Army. None of those pilots were allowed to drink, and they didn't. They were really made you proud to be an American. They were such, fine men. And I said, Doc, we didn't drink a thing. We didn't think a thing. I said, who are you kidding? So I got out the tourniquet and prepared to draw the blood for a blood alcohol, which would have meant that they would have been severely punished. Anyway, before I could do that, 6 more guys came in, really reeling like they were totally drunk. Before the night was over, I had to treat 400 of the pilots. And Sergeant Ryan just put stretchers in the hallways, and they vomited and defecated, and I had them go around and make them drink salt water until they vomited more. And fortunately, we got by. Everyone recovered, except I had to hospitalize 6 of them. Now, during that time, I forget who was the head of thing. He called an atomic alert because he was certain that the Russians had poisoned the men.
Mm-hmm.
And they sure looked like they were poisoned. And for 30 minutes, he had his finger on the atom bomb. But Hubbard saved the day. Went over. What the men were suffering from me looked like food poisoning. Well, the Russians must have poisoned the food. But I went over and talked to the mess sergeant. And the mess sergeant was a guy like Will, who showed me a big bowl of bread pudding, which he had put in the refrigerator on a Friday night. And the refrigerator had conked out. And during the night, the refrigerator dripped water into this bread pudding. So the sergeant, who's like Will, had a big paddle, and he just said it looks okay, and he poured lemon sauce and stirred it all up. Then he put more lemon sauce and stirred it all up. So when the pilots had their Sunday meal, it seemed rather tasty. But what he had done was poured a vicious strain of Staphylococcus right into the bread pudding and mixed it all up, so everyone got a good dose. And I got a commendation.
Figuring that one out.
Yeah.
Because you figured that out.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your position and age at the
But
time?
that was
What was yours?
Who was the leader? Was it, because I've had this stroke, things go in my mind and out of it. And
What was your position? Were you a
I
captain?
was a captain in the medical corps, and they shifted me around. So that was that.